Okay guys, so in this tutorial we're just going to make these sketches become components or 3D objects, add some colour and assemble them. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to press E on our keyboard. We're going to select the first profile. So a profile is a closed shape that can be extruded. So I'm going to click on this one here. You'll notice it's not selecting the holes, which is good. And I want to make that a 12.5 thick piece of material. But before you press enter, it's really important you come across here, and in the extrude panel that's going to open up every time you do this, you change that to a new component and you click OK, and your new component has appeared here. It's called component 1. Well, that's a bit random, so we'll call that stool top. Okay, and press enter. Now you'll notice that my other sketches seem to have been deleted or vanished. Well, all that's happened is every time you extrude and create a component, the software automatically turns off the sketch, which is the drawing. So you need to come into your browser. This is your browser here. It's got all the details of your drawing in it. And I'm going to click on the Sketches tab, and I'm going to turn the eye on to make that sketch reappear. Okay, so it automatically switches off when we do that first extrude, but we can override just by switching on here. We're then going to repeat that process. So we're going to click E for extrude. This time we're selecting this part. The thickness is exactly the same, 12.5 mm. And again, we must select that we want a new component, and we click OK. Now you'll see in our browser, we've got the first component we created, stool top. Now we've got stool leg 1, and then we're going to repeat the process again for the next one. So E for extrude. This time we're selecting this piece, 12.5. Make sure you say you're creating a new component. Click OK. And at that point, well, to be honest, we can turn our sketch off and make things a little bit clearer and easier to see. Okay, so we've got 3 components. I'm just going to rename this one stool leg 2. There you go. And I'm going to come to my home view. If I come up to my view cube and click the home view here, the pieces are all laying flat at the moment, which is great for when I want to make them. But in terms of doing my virtual assembly here, obviously I'm going to need to move some of those. So if I come to my browser and select stool leg 1 and I press M for move, you'll notice that as well as having the ability to slide it along these planes or axes, okay, I also have the ability to rotate it. So I want to rotate that by 90 degrees and press enter. Then I'm going to come to my browser and select stool leg 2 and press M for move. And this one I want to rotate 90 degrees that way and then 90 degrees that way, and click OK. All right, so now they're sort of orientated as if they're going to fit together, but obviously I need to connect them. To do the connecting, you do not want to use the move command. You want to use a join command, and it's going to move that stool leg a little bit closer for no other reason than it makes the orbiting a bit easier. So we want to use a command for joining, and it is a J for join. So I need to think about what surface needs to join or connect with what other surface. So I'm going to come in and zoom right in on this little piece at the bottom here, this surface here. You can see as I hover on it, it's going grey. It'll do that on any surface. But if I press J and I click capture position, it's just telling me that some of the things have moved. Now, as I go onto a surface, not only does it go grey, but I've got this little tag sort of trying to find a suitable location, like an edge or a corner or a center, to do a join on. So I'm going to click on the very center of that surface there. That one's going to go kind of whited out. And I'm now going to just flip this until I can see the same surface nice and clearly on this second one, and you can see because my J is still activated, it's waiting for the second point that you want to join to, which obviously is that one there. And when I then click OK, it's going to make a connection. If I just go back to my home view, there you go. It's pushed those together just like you would push them together by hand. It's going to push those together to create the product. We then just do the same with this one here. So I'm going to flip that so I can see underneath it. I want to press Escape to come out of my orbit and press J. And you can see here it's sort of looking and thinking, okay, well, where could I make a join? I could join on a circumference is one thing, but the center of a circle is a really good way of locating. So I'm going to click on there as the first point in my join. And then I click where I want that to join to. So I'm going to zoom right in on here, press Escape to get out of my zoom, and my J is still activated, so I can click the second one there, and it's going to go ahead and put that in place. And so what I'll now have is my assembled stool. To finish off, I just want to radius some corners and add some materials. So to do that, I'm going to click on F for fillet, and I'm going to click that edge and put a 2, you can make it whatever size you like. I'm going to say 2.5 radius on there. And as we zoom in, you can see what's happened. It's as if we've gone round with some glass paper and sanded those edges. You can also do the entire surface if you want. So if I click on there, and then I rotate around and select these two surfaces as well, I could do a radius on the whole thing in one go. That sometimes works. Sometimes, in my opinion, it's better to do it individually, because with this you can end up putting some radiuses where you don't really want them. So what I'm going to do is just click on my F for fillet, and I'm going to go around and select these edges that I do want to be radiused, okay, and apply the radius to that. I'll keep on, just rotate that around, use your orbit tool, and then escape from orbit to come back to your fillet, then you can go back to orbit and rotate around, escape and fillet that, and I'm going to put a 2.5 radius on all of those, and so on and so forth. Okay, and that obviously starts to look a little bit smarter, a little bit nicer. I'll come down and do these in a bit as well. And then the final thing is just your material choices. So for materials, we're going to click on Appearance, which is A on your keyboard. You're going to need to scroll down until you find the wood finishes. So let's scroll all the way down to there. And we know that we've got bamboo for, well, in my case, I'm using my bamboo material for the top here. And for the sides, I'm using my fiberboard, but let's look at painting the sides. So if I come into paint here and glossy, yeah, well, probably, let's go with that. And let's say that I'm going to find a dark grey gloss for those, okay. And these little icons here are just showing where there's a joint. If you don't want to see those, you can come down. I'll just escape or close my Appearance tab. You can come down into your display settings, have a look at object visibility, and you can turn off those joints so you don't see those. You can also go into the visual style, and if you want to remove these lines, because of course in real life you don't see lines on objects like that, you just see more or less reflection in particular parts. You can turn the lines off. So that's all in your display settings, either in visual style or in object visibility. Okay. Command and S, make sure your work's saved as you're going along, and there you are, job done. Well done.